Hello folks, this is Steve A.V4L. Sometimes I can't believe how old I am. This is a bit of nostalgia. Nothing in this episode is a promotion nor is it a recommendation. Yeah, right. So you know that one of my favorite pages is /dot. So I got it open right now. And the top item, which I saw a little earlier, Tom Lehrer, satirical songwriter and mathematician, dies at age 97. Supposedly from CNN. Right now this is updated by Associated Press 4 hours ago. There he is. Notice how he's dressed. Los Angeles. Tom Lehrer, the popular and erudite song satirist who lampooned marriage, politics, racism, and the Cold War, then largely abandoned his music career to return to teaching math at Harvard and other universities, has died. He was 97. And today is the 27th of July, 2025, and apparently he passed yesterday. Lehrer has remained on the math faculty of the University of California at Santa Cruz well into his late 70s. Now he's 97 at his passing. So assume that he actually retired 20 years ago, teaching math to liberal arts students. In 2020, he even turned away from his own copyright. This is important, actually. Granting the public permission to use his lyrics in any format without any fee in return. Now you can, I want to give you a feeling for we'll just do some song titles. Now, he earned a math degree at Harvard at 18. So song titles like Poisoning Pigeons in the Park. I remember that one. The Old Dope Peddler, set to the tune reminiscent of the old lamplighter, and Be Prepared, in which he mocked the Boy Scouts, and this is one I know, the Vatican Rag, in which Lehrer, an atheist, Jewish atheist, poked fun at the rites and ceremonies of the Roman Catholic Church. For example, sample lyrics: get down on your knees, fiddle with your rosaries, bow your head with great respect, and genuflect, genuflect, and genuflect. I remember that. Notice that I said, I remember that. Accompanying himself on the piano, he performed the songs in a colorful style reminiscent of such musical heroes as Gilbert and Sullivan. There's a YouTube channel. I'm telling you this so you'll have no trouble at all. The Tom Lehrer, just put Tom Lehrer in. Lehrer, spelled the way it sounds. The Tom Lehrer Wisdom Channel. Now, what you'll find when you play these is that they were actually recorded with a movie camera or TV camera. My guess, late 50s, 1960s, maybe into the 70s, given how old he appears to be. So for instance, Tom Lehrer, remember this is in the public domain. Look at the format, the Vatican rag.
Well, it seems we have time for one more, and this is one I always like to close with. Recently, there has been a great deal of ferment in the Roman Catholic Church involving more liberal changes. In particular, they have permitted the use of vernacular language instead of Latin in portions of the Mass.
I remember that.
They have made optional the eating of meat on Friday.
I remember that.
This pleased me very much because I've always felt there was a basic inconsistency in the church dogma there. You see.
Okay. Let's just take a side note. Remember, I'm reminiscing. When did Catholic Church allow vernacular masses? What does vernacular masses mean? I grew up in a town that was at least 50% Catholic, like the Notre Dame Church at the other end of Pleasant Street. The Irish Church, if I looked around behind our house and over the mill pond. St. Stanislaus, the Polish Church. When did the Catholic Church allow vernacular masses in the church? 1965. Second Vatican Council. What does that mean? It means the masses could contain something other than Latin, so that the churchgoers, being devout Catholics, could understand what the rituals were about. If you don't know anything about the Catholic Church, this probably sounds like a mystery to you, especially if you're a Protestant. On the other hand, if you're a Jew, the Torah is in what language? Anyway, what was the other one? Catholic Church allows meat on Friday. Now remember, the vernacular Mass, Second Vatican Council, 1965. Back before 1966, church law prohibited eating meat on all Fridays throughout the entire year. So I remember my friend George. We got our ham radio licenses together as early teenagers. I can remember us coming in on a Thursday night late. We're in the kitchen of his house. He's looking at the clock on the wall, and he goes into his mother's up, and goes into the refrigerator, and he quickly makes a chicken sandwich and wolfs it down, and it's 5 minutes until midnight. Because as soon as they hit midnight, being a good Catholic, at least at that time, he was forbidden to eat meat on Friday. And as I said to somebody just this past week, so in my hometown, one of the things that I miss here all through my life is that we used to get in the car, the family car, on Friday, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and there was a certain place on Cottage Street that the only time it was open was from approximately noon until 9 p.m. on Fridays. Now, on Thursday evenings and Friday evenings, if you go 2 miles down the road to Franklinville, the Franklinville restaurant opens up and all the locals who grew up with it go there to get their Thursday or Friday supper and socialize. Otherwise, it's closed. So it's open from maybe open in the afternoon until 8 o'clock on Thursday, same thing on Friday approximately. And you can see people going in and getting and walking out with the meals in their bags, and it's crowded. It's crowded. These people grew up together. So they're in there. And why did I go to that? When I see that, I think about us getting in the car, and I would go in with my father. I was maybe 12 years old. And we get fried haddock, French fries, and soda. And they would make it right there. And we go out, sit in the car, and eat it in the car. Hot, freshly made. But you could only get it on Fridays for the Catholics. See how you specialize a business to... I'm reminiscing. I'm smiling. Can you get haddock now? I bet you pay a real premium price. It was because of the Catholics that the haddock got overfished off of Newfoundland. Yeah. (1965-66). Now keep those years in mind. This is him doing a live film from Copenhagen in 1967. That's what it says there. Tom Lehrer, The Vatican Rag, fabulous version, live film from Copenhagen, 1967. This is not the first time he performed that song, because I heard it and knew it in 1962. We'll get back to that. So you can get a remastered audio CD with the Tom Lehrer collection. Remember, now it's in the public domain. You can get it for $16. You can get those are new, but for a couple of dollars off, you can get it used. TomLehrerSongs.com. Songs and lyrics by Tom Lehrer. Remember, now he gave his copyright up to the public domain. So here's the disclaimer. I, Tom Lehrer, individually and as trustee of the Tom Lehrer Trust, 2007, hereby grant the following permissions. All copyrights to lyrics or music written or composed by me, Tom Lehrer, have been permanently and irrevocably relinquished, and therefore such songs are now in the public domain. All of my songs that have never been copyrighted. You see, when you create something, you own the copyright for a year, but you must register it to carry it on for the typical length and be able to renew it. But at least that's the law when I was a younger kid. I want to understand what he's saying. All my songs that have never been copyrighted, meaning he didn't register them, having been available for free so long, are now also in the public domain. In other words, I have abandoned, surrendered, and disclaimed all right, title, and interest, it's legalese, in and to my work, and have injected any and all my copyrights into the public domain, blah, 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 blah. So he's got some website, we'll see how long it takes to disappear, where if anybody tries to get down on you, it's right there. You don't even have to go to him. It's right there. You can slam them. Do the thieves out there try to... Yes. I have had videos up with public domain lyrics and music, and then they send me a notice. YouTube sends me a notice, and I went right to the guy who wrote them, and I said, what do you think about that? And I sent a copy of that email in his reply back to YouTube. And the next day, they don't mind that you're using it. Yeah, they don't mind. It wasn't theirs to start with. I'm explaining why he did this. So if you go Tom Lehrer, now we're getting down to the real nostalgia, 1962. Tom Lehrer, Vinyl Records, eBay. And there seem to be some hits. And you notice this one here? You see the cover? I remember that. Yes, I remember that. And he's got a tail there. He's like a devil. Mischievous. And why am I pointing this out? You see the frayed edge? This is an original release. Now look up here at the title. Tom Lehrer, Songs by Tom Lehrer, U.S. Reissue, 1959, long play, VG++, excellent. Bird in Hand Records. Why am I pointing this out? Because that's probably the issue that my housemate, Carney, originally from Dyersburg, Tennessee, had just previously been in the United States Army, stationed in Korea in the late 1950s, that's after the Korean War, had his own room in the dormitory because it was mandatory that all freshmen live in the dormitory in the first year, but they gave him, because of his age, they let him have a separate dormitory room that was a single bed in the same dormitory building I was in. And we got to be pretty good friends. He was a pretty smart guy. He came there for the school that I went to, but then dropped out of after that third semester, was the first plastics engineering faculty in the United States. That's what he was interested in. It ended up that was how he built his wealth and his businesses throughout his life afterwards. Oh, that's right, vinyl records are plastic too. So as housemates, along with Pierre from Belgium, yes. My first roommate in the dormitory was from India the first semester. The second semester, my roommate was Umesh from India, Cesar from Peru, Lima, Peru. Third semester, my housemate, two housemates, one was Pierre from Belgium, and Carney from Tennessee, recently discharged from going to school on the veterans thing. Now, why am I going down this path? because this is probably the same issue record that I would sit with him. He said, come on, listen to this. These are funny. Tom Lehrer, songs by Tom Lehrer. This album, 1962. This album, the reissue, 1962. That's how I know the Vatican Rag and those others. That's when I first heard them. I thought they were funny. And yes, he was self-accompanying on the piano. Now, Birds in Hand record. That sounds familiar. That may or may not be. Oh, Pink Floyd, Rush, National Lampoon, The Byrds, Carole King, Lionel Richie. But I'm curious. I didn't look this up ahead of time. This sounds familiar. I'll bet I've made a video in the past about something else that mentioned it. Now this is I said Birds in Hand. Bird in Hand Records. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put quotes around it, and what that does is it forces the search engine to narrow down to nothing similar sounding. Okay, they're referencing eBay stores. I have no idea what Cool Buzz is on there. Klieg Go Music, Birds in Hand label. Penny Black Music in the UK, Birds in Hand, record label, album reviews. Dancing About Architecture, The Black Feathers, Birds in Hand Records. Play Who I Am, Who Can Tell, The Ridgetown Ramblers, Birds in Hand Records. Cheeseburgers and Fries, The Ridgetown Ramblers. America's Greatest Jazz, Dot Records. Birds in Hand Records is an independently owned online record shop based in the heart of Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C. Let's read that. Okay, I can tell you what they are. Bird in Hands Records is an independently owned online record shop business based in the heart of Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C., founded as a way to share our passion for music we love. We curate and care for everything we collect and sell, and we hope it shows. Our online store offers a diverse selection of vinyl records from classic rock to contemporary indie, jazz, soul, and I have come across it. So what do? Most likely, they're constantly looking for things like estate sales, especially today online, and they buy up all the vinyl records they can get their hands on. And eBay is a great way to sell them, and we just went to their shop online on eBay, and right there's Tom Lehrer. So these are albums that are either hard to get, original issues. They may have been stored in a warehouse for 40 years, and finally when they're tearing it down, somebody buys it's just like, all those returns that go back to Amazon. Some of that stuff they throw into bins and you can bid on it. There's a place down here, almost at Ramseur, that buys those big things from eBay, and you can go shop in there for that, whatever it was that came in that particular crate. And I'm almost certain I've done a video, maybe as my better cousin, twin, Uncle Steve, where it was, again, Bird in Hand Records, which is a hippie record shop in Washington, D.C. Now, is it at a... See, my mind is wandering, but I'm curious. Birdland Records, no. Joint Custody, Bird City Records. Bird in Hand History. From our early Quaker settlement to celebrating 50 and I've heard of them too. Bird in Hand I've heard of them too. So it kind of ends up as my guess is they work out of their basement and have for a long time. Probably started with the internet. It's a good way to start your own business. Ta-da! So I've wandered around a little bit. I've taken you all the way back to 1962, which was the first time I ever heard these songs by Tom Lehrer, Thank You, Carney, my housemate from Tennessee. This is Steve AB4L, smiling, saying see you in 73.